LISA-8, you see it. We have a new background photo with from Berlin, but that's not the biggest feature I guess we have here. Um, Nevertheless, we have here our standard modules. We have here the project management where you can select the intersection, the cards, and the separation in the basic modules of the configuration, the planning, the uploading, the counting, and the support are still here in LISA-8. What we did, we improved a lot of basic functions, and this all gives an cool new item. We also put new CITS features in our LISA-8. So let's start with the basic data. What did we do here? So here you see LISA-8, our site plan, and which is now new is you have here like a task list, a task menu, and what is now possible here in LISA is first of all in basic data the graphical detectors. So here you see the graphical detectors. I can move them. I can move them here. I can extend them. You see all the time here on the left side in the properties, you see the distance to stop line here in this property table. This is possible for detectors for vehicles, but it's also possible to depict these detectors for pedestrian crossings. And the question is now for what you need that. One point is you export that for LISA for the VISIM setup. You can export them graphically in the VISIM setup. It's also possible to export the detectors to the map export where the detector positions are not based in the map itself, but we have an extension. It's called NoMap XML. In this NoMap XML, you have the position of the detectors in a georeference scaled intersection. So first point, graphical detectors. The next point, you can see it here next to the pedestrian crossings are the sidewalk and bikeways. You can easily add them. It's a new object in LISA. This has nothing to do with traffic planning or more traffic safety planning. It's more a feature for also the map export to locate vehicles or then also pedestrians, bicyclists on a lane. And this lane here, it has the attribute of a sidewalk or a bikeway, and you can allocate them here on this lane, and it's you can use it for control. You see that here on the pedestrian crossings. I will also draw a new pedestrian crossing here. On the end of these pedestrian crossings, you have this lane. And for the map export, use this as a lane, and the whole pedestrian crossing is a connection between these two lanes. The next point is we have signal groups, directional use of the signal groups for pedestrian crossings. So here, for instance, you see a pedestrian crossing. This pedestrian crossing has two signal groups, and we see here on the left side P11 and P12 for both directions. Now it's possible in LISA to allocate the signal groups to the direction. So you click just here on an arrow, and you have here only P11 signal group. On the other side here, other direction, you use P12 signal group for this direction going to the island here. So basically, you can select them, you can adjust them here. And if you click only on the pedestrian crossing, you have here both signal groups are selected, but they are a little bit gray. That means they have directional use. So this is new. It's also new. We modified our behavior of our connection of lanes. So we adjusted it or we made it similar to VISIM. So if you add a new lane here, another lane, you can then you don't have anymore to connect them via travel path. It's now just possible to select the end of a lane, then put it on a different lane. Then this is connected automatically. You see now here a connection point. Here, this will be also then in the map export, and you can also delete this point and move the lane back. I delete it and then move the lane back out of the lane connection, and now you have it again. So this could also be used then for the vism export and also for the map export. Another cool new feature is we extended our moving behavior here of the LISA intersection. We have now here moving of the whole network, and now you can here scale or zoom your LISA network, your lanes and so on, so you can make them a little bit smaller and a little bit bigger. The use case is you have a new site plan and you have to adjust the LISA network to the new site plan, but you don't want to move any pedestrian crossings or uh, click on every lane connection and move them and so move them. So it's just possible here to zoom, to scale it here. It's also possible to change the angle. So you just give in here a number and you can move the whole network via an angle. So this is also a cool new feature here, being the extension of this moving behavior. So I continue with the features in LISA. I go now from the basic data module to the new module planning. I stay in the configuration module and go to the evaluation parameters. So what's new here in the module of the evaluation parameters? You see it here on this leg, for instance. You have here the heavy goods vehicle share, um, heavy goods vehicle share, so in a relation, or you can also have the absolute values. So this is heavy goods traffic, can have it here as ratio or as total number. You can just switch it here to depict the heavy goods vehicle share. For instance, if you have, to make them later on for the level of service calculation, it's an important point to depict how high is the heavy goods vehicles traffic and how the heavy goods vehicles influence the other traffic, the other vehicles. So this can be depicted here. And another cool new feature here in the evaluation parameters are the depicting of the pedestrian and bicycle flows. You can enter here the number of pedestrians, bicyclists, if you have a pedestrian crossing, and then they are depicted here on a leg, and you can also add them here, and you see that it's going to be adjusted automatically. So these are the new features in the configuration module itself, in the evaluation parameters. I now continue to the planning tool. Here we added new features in the stages. In the stages, it's now possible to depict the ID numbers here on the right side, the ID numbers of the stages, the activation stage, and the sub-intersection allocation here in the stage transition matrix. In LISA 7, it was still hidden here below, behind the icon, and now you can have it here to see the ID number and the activation stage and the allocation to the sub-intersection numbers, because it's a really, really important issue to which ID number the stages have, and also which is the activation stage. We often have that in the helpline, that you lost activation stage because you deleted a stage, and then you entered a new one, and when you have no activation stage anymore, and in the traffic actuated plan in this test site, it does not start. So to avoid this confusion, we have now here this allocation of the activation stage. You see also that we have here now the undo and redo icons to make decisions, to undo here things. So I go now to the next module. In the planning tool, we go to the signal timing plans. Here in this module, we really worked a lot in this module, and we had a lot of problems. But now we solved most of them. You can now depict a signal timing plan here, and a permission plan on one page. That means if you have a signal timing plan and you also have a permission plan for the green wave allocations, or you want to have in some certain times, cycle times, you don't want to have a move between the stage because the green wave arrives. So you use permission plans, and because you often use this both information next to each other, moving signal timing plans stages and the permission plans which you use in the logic, we now depict both below or next to each other. So it's not only possible to depict them next to each other, it's also possible to edit them. So you can click here on extend and shortening the signal timing plan. So you can extend it here, and you see the cycle time of the signal timing plan is extended, as also the cycle time of the permission plan to 125. You can also shift here the signal timing plans and the permission plans. So now you can link them and work together. It's also possible to disconnect this link. You just click here on the right side in the properties and disconnect here the permission plan, and then this permission plan has gone. You can easily only adjust the signal timing plan. The same is also for the permission plans. Here you have only the permission plan, you can adjust it. So the information or the separate module is not gone. You can also now edit the permission plans separately. Not only for signal timing plans you can allocate to permission plans, it's now also possible to allocate permission plans to stage-based signal timing plans. So that's also a new feature. You have here the parameters, the permission plans. You can easily click here, I want a permission plan, and the permission plan is below the stage-based signal time plan. We often work here with the stage-based signal timing plans, and also often the stage-based STPs and the permission plans work together, because you define here the ending of a stage and starting of a stage, and not of the separate signal groups. You often do that with stages and stage transitions. So that's the reason why this was also an important step for us to implement it. So this is new. What's also new is you can add a comment to a signal timing plan. Here on the right side, you have add comment. Here you can add a comment on the signal time plan. You can say something like, oh, you have note only on demand or whatever. And then it's also possible to print it here as a PDF. It's also possible to move this comment to the permission plans here, use double comments and so on. So this free text is movable as you want. So this is a new feature. What's also now new is for us that you don't have to use snipping tools anymore to make a copy of a signal timing plan. So you can easily click here with right click on the signal timing plan and open it in a separate view. So you see now here a window which opens. It's similar to the intersection sketch. You can move this window around. You can move it on separate monitors here. And you can also move this permission plan to different modules. So I can now go to the test site and open the test site. And this permission plan, this window is still here with me, and I can compare the signal timing plan and the permission plans, for instance. So I will close that. You can also open as many signal timing plans in separate views as you want. Yeah, so I can here add a lot of them and move them, depict them, whatever you want. So this is a new cool feature in LISA. The signal time plans, the allocation to the permission plans to edit both, to have this node, also to move here. We also modified the collections. You can here select now signal timing plans and permission plans and deactivation plans. So you can do the craziest collections, whatever you want here. And what's also new is in the permission plans, you can here now move the columns like you want here, and this is now transferred automatically to the permission plan. That's also a new cool feature in this module. I will now continue with the signal with my presentation in LISA 8. So I continued with the signal timing plans. Now we go to the logic itself. We added a lot of small features, but you will love them. This was the reaction of many visitors in the of the intertraffic. So here on the right side, you have a new module. It's called logic components. In this logic components module, you have the possibility now to mark certain logic modules or logic types, objects, and move the logic objects here to this logic component point. And now you see here this logic component, which I just selected and moved, I was added here in my logic components. I can now export this logic component list here or import it from colleagues. So you can make your own logic component list here and open as many intersection and still use them and import them. So importing them back is also now easy via drag and drop. You can click here. You can now move this module. I will drag and drop here on this point. So you see connecting them are going via this violet points. So you move it, then this is here now added on this decision item, and these are now here. So it's possible to add many more. If variables are declared so far, you can, LISA asks you if you want to add the new variables, but this is just small gadgets. What's also new here in the logic component? So you can use this logic component module. It's also possible now to toggle decision elements. So you can toggle this comment to this here. Now LISA goes only this chooses here in this option only this negative or no exit. So if you have this here, you LISA will not activate this logic anymore. Will just go to the next point and will activate or decide here. So before you ask, you can also have control left mouse. You can change here the exit. So now we have no exit to the to the right and the yes exit to the bottom. So if I now toggle this here, you see that the logic will go this direction, and the path here below is toggled completely. So this is a cool new feature. Another new feature is if you want to delete or want to switch this decision element to a different action element, you can just click here on change to action element, and you see that you now ask what do you want to do now. If you want to delete the path to the right or the path to the below, then you can decide, I want to delete the path to the right, and you see that everything was deleted here to the right. You can also make that undo this thing, so you can now put a new logic component here, but you can also use undo. You see everything is now made. Everything is now undooed. That's a new cool thing. Another thing is that you have the elements here, all logic elements, actions, and so on. You have short keys for them, so you can use action. You can use for the action model Control Alt A. So if you click on Control Alt A, you see now that my cursor was changed, and that I have now on my cursor an action model. But I can also make Control Alt D. Now I have the decision element, and so on and so on. So you have now here short keys for this. I will now go to the test site itself. You can go to planning, go here to the test site, and what do we have? New things here. You have now here in the creating of the tests, the possibility to modify the tests much more. So what do I mean with that? I mean, if you have here, for instance, creating test, you're sending here PT telegrams, for instance, in this cycle second 48. So if you change, for instance, the permission plan to 1 second, and now it was in older LISAs, it was just, okay, now I have to move every cycle second here separately. So here I would enter now 49, 79, and so on. And that's not that you don't have to do that anymore. So you just have to click here in the cycle second, this column here, and now shift all seconds separately. You see also that LISA keeps in mind there is a maximum cycle duration. So this is a cycle time plan with a cycle duration of 75 seconds. So you can now shift. You can see if I exaggerate this value, you see that now it's going to be 0 and start here again. And I can also shift it back. So that's possible now for these lines. But you can also move now the lines. You can move the lines to the top and to the button. You can move them here and back. It's also possible to copy the clipboard or copy a line and enter the line here. So if you want to Control C and Control and paste, you can see that I copy here this column, and I can add as much new lines as I want. That's new. What's also new is the decision of the elements. You can just click here on an element. You see now selective box. You can now just add here, make multiple choices for these detectors. You see that detect all multiple choices were added here on this test site creating of the tests. So this is special for the test routines. We have also a new creating of default test routines. So if you click on test routines and you click on this icon, you see that LISA generates automatically 3 new test routines. That's basic test routines. Everybody use it. For instance, the detector flow here. Everybody, that's the first test routine everybody adds. So we thought, okay, maybe we can add that automatically here. We have that for the test routines. We also have that for detector tips, and we have that for detector on. We also have this generation of new automatic scenarios for the switching test. So if I click on switch test, I click here on creating test routines. What you see here, this is filled automatically based on the information you entered in the previous modules. For instance, here the cycle time plans from 1 to 4 are marked automatically to have a modification of TA. The other cycle time plans are fixed time. Or the duration of the signal time plans, the values are filled basically. And here you see the test routines are both as two switching tests are added, one with going to the off state, and the other is without going to the off state. So it's also possible here. So this is not only for the switching test, we have also for random detector test. You can add new tables with useful values based on the detector and the type, allocated type. You see here the types of video are having different time gaps than the push button time gaps. It's reasonable, and also here different values in another detector test. And last but not least, we have also here default test for the public transport prioritization. So here you have now you have here random public transport test PT with login and check out. All values are filled here also based on reasonable values which you can add or modify, and also this we have both of them with different values to test the extremes of your logic. That's so far to the creating of tests and editing the test routines. And now it's also possible here to run fast till a defined simulation second. So I can add here the simulation second. I can now run fast of my logic, and the logic will stop at the second. So you will see here now I make nothing logic, so now it works. You see the test site and the vehicles driving simulation, and here on the button you see I'm now at simulation 150, 60, and you will see that it stops right now in this second, and now I can make detector tests or start a test routine, whatever. Yeah, so you can now skip to a certain simulation duration, and then it stops, and you can do now make testing. That's also a cool new thing. And now we came to the new part of how we go into the future, how we use LISA in the future, and how future readiness is LISA. For that, I will reset my test site, and I will now select here no vehicle flow, and I will show you the new module here, or the new application, a new window here in this module. You see here a new window CITS CAM. In this module here, in this window, you have now the possibility to depict all information of a cam of the cars which are simulated in the LISA test site. So you can set a simulation penetration rate. You can say here cars are sending 100% CITS information as CAM messages. You can also set that for only for buses, whatever. So you can here modify your penetration rate, and you can simulate it. I will show you what information you have here. So this is a permanent green logic so far, or control. I will now add here a new vehicle. This vehicle was now is now simulated here, starting here at this roundabout, and you see here all information of this car. So this car drives on lane no, and lane no comes from the map information, from this digital site plan roadside unit or central has of this intersection. So the car is driving on this lane no. It has a destination lane to 8. This is not, to be honest, it's not part of the information from the cam, but we know it here in LISA, and we can do with that some research, for instance. But for traffic control and based on cam messages, this information you don't want, you could not have. Then in the next column, you have the vehicle ID. It's like a license plate. You have the type of the car. So this is type 5. That means it's a normal car. I can also add emergency car here. So you see that in the next line, you have emergency car. So this is different type. You see also that this car has a siren. You have the length of the car, the width of the car, is time step, and now the interesting points, interesting information came. The distance to the stop line here, it's now 280 meters, and the speed of the car. So this car drives now 14 meters per second. And with our new CITS functions, you can put these information into your control. So now I will change to the logic. And we added here new controller functions. It's called the CITS CAM function group and also CITS map function group. You can ask here map related information. For instance, how many lanes do I have, and are the lanes, which signal groups do the connection from lanes have? And you have also here a group of CITS cams that could ask the information you see here on the test site. So now you can build your individual functions. For instance, here we created a function. It's called CITS signal group eta, estimated time of arrival. We iterate through all lanes we have on this in our test site. Now then we search the relevant signal groups. After that, we go through all vehicles we have in the vehicle buffer on this model CITS CAM, and we ask for the vehicle with the closest distance to the stop line. Ask here different information. We ask here, you see here the CAM information, the new CAM information. We ask here the minimum distance of the car, and important is now the speed of a relating car. So we add here the function CAM station attribute, then the vehicle ID we got from this loop here, and then we ask the speed, and here we have the distance of the car. On the same procedure, we have the vehicle ID and also here the distance. And with this information on variables, we go to this calculation here. We ask first if we have some border parameters, not to calculate any crazy things. And we calculate here a simple estimated time of arrival, distance through speed. And with this distance through speed, we depict it, for instance, here in our watched values. We have here a distance, an estimated time of arrival for signal group V3. That's our 19 seconds. If I go 1 second further, we will have 18 seconds because the car is coming closer to the intersection. And what do we do now with these information? We now put them in a normal logic. You see here. You see here a fully activated logic. You ask here if the stage is active, and here we have our CITS functions, and here we have our normal functions we use. If we have a tailback or we have a demand of a stage 4, we start with the stage transition. And now we added here a new function. It's called CITS signal group demand. We have a signal group, and we had here we put here in parameter. It's here 25 meters. That means if a car has a lower estimated time of arrival of 25 meters, then start the stage transition. And what you see now is here on the right side in the graphical log, you see here that I were permanently in stage 1, and as I generated a new vehicle, the logic started with a stage transition. The cars are coming closer and closer to the intersection. You see now I have eta of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and now the signal groups were also get green, and the car travels or passes the intersection without a stop. Yeah, and that's one use case for this new CITS application or for our new CITS functions. But you can create your own use cases. You can generate emergency vehicle prioritization with separate stages. You can also generate prioritization of buses or trams and so on. And cool is now that you can create a logic based on your own wishes and create them here in LISA, create a logic for that. Important is test it here in LISA and the test site. And now it's the cool thing is that you can export it to simulation tool Vissim and let the simulation run with these new functions. So it's also embedded in this in our LISA Vissim setup in our interface, and with the with controller actors. We had also a research project. It's also working now on the street. You can put a roadside unit there. You can put a logic in this actors controller, and then you can control the traffic with CITS application. So this is the new cool thing using the control logics. Using control logics based on CITS application, you don't have to remove or remove your existing logic. You can just put on top your CITS application next to it, normal logic, and do new fancy stuff. LISA just gives you the tools to do that. I want also show you a new debug feature. We have here the highlighted of the past symbols. You see here now how often a logic element was activated with this number here on top. You see that the stage active function here was activated 125 times, and this element here 92 times, and the stage transition was really activated by the CITS function and not by this signal group demand. Yeah, you see this here, it was one time here gone through this. That's so far to a single intersection. I now go to the coordination module, so connecting the intersection, making a green wave. This is depicted here, coordination. So here we have our new cool evaluation of the green waves, of the platoons of the green waves. So you don't make a level of service calculation for only green waves and say, okay, I could have here a green wave and the vehicles will be better. We look here in LISA 8, but we also did that in 7.3, to be honest. We look here on platoons, and we follow the tracker platoons through the intersection, through the network, from this green wave. And I know that's from still from LISA 7.3. We made some improvements with cars going out and into the coordination. We also improved it slightly, but still to remember, I will just repeat here, the green wave platoon level of service calculation based on vehicle platoons. So for instance, on this intersection, I have 3 platoons going to the next intersection. The first platoon is all cars were arrived at red and will be queued back, and then at green beginning they started and have a really high density. So these are the cars arriving at red. The next platoon is the cars arriving at green, but they drove off this queue back of the first platoon. And the next platoon is all cars arriving at green. And you see that the color is a little bit lighter, so that means we have here a lighter density of these cars. So you can now track these platoons through the whole coordination module. And cool thing is now that we also keep into our calculation the minor directions. For instance, here they are depicted in yellow, orange, or I don't know, brown maybe. So this minor direction starts here at this intersection. You can also say, okay, it's not a protective turn. That means a green beginning. This car starts. It means maybe you say it's a permissive, so they start at green end. And you see this platoon. These cars are separated in two platoons here at the next intersection. So these first platoon can drive through green and yellow, and the next platoon will wait on red, and also this platoon here grouped with this platoon, and these two platoons start at green beginning right before the green wave or the platoon of the major green wave arrives. So we have enough time that we have no queueback. So this is really good aspect of our platoon based level of service calculation, and we did some internal simulation in Vissim and calculation here, and our results are here close to Vissim, up to a 5%. So if you configure here coordination really exactly, you can have the same results calculated as the simulation tool. So this is really impressive. And we put now in LISA 8 the pop-up windows into a more acceptable way here in the messages. You see here the messages to the coordination. You have here the diagrams and such. The bottleneck of the intersection where you have lost time, so on, where you have this bottleneck, you can modify it. And a new cool feature here is that we have the time switch coordination. So the best coordination would not work if the cycle times of the STPs do not fit. So this is here monitored. So you have here the day plans for the time switch from Monday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And from Monday, you see here all intersections on this y-axis. On the x-axis, you see the hours of a day. And you see that on all intersection, you have the same cycle time, the same STP at the same time. So here, the coordination would work perfectly. You also see here on Sunday, we have a trouble here on this intersection and this intersection. So here we would have a cycle time of 75 and here 60. So they would work asynchronous. You would not have a coordination here because only of the cycle timing plans. This is depicted here on this calendar in red. And also you see that on holidays, for instance, here on Easter, this time switch coordination works. So you see on this intersection 12:11 and 12:08 that the time switch of the normal Friday is depicted, and the other intersection have recognized that it's a holiday, and they have this Sunday time plan. And that's also cool that it keeps in mind the holiday, and if holidays are not supplied on the intersection, depict them here. So that's basically the new features of LISA 8. So the technical parts are we switched in LISA 8 from 32 bits to 64-bit system. That means we have we increased the performance, and we increased also the performance of the LISA server, or also the LISA server got the update to 64 bits. That means for all the admins that the server has to be updated, and you have a new server license version. New server version, it's 4, server version 4, and it works much more faster than the old version. We also we removed the Oracle development kit and use the open JDK development kit in LISA. So we are independent from this license troubles of Oracle. It's also new, and we because of this move from 64-bit, we have to update old dongles because the old dongles are not able to, the old dongles are not able to open LISA. So here we have we have an action. So we will inform you in time that we remove or we update your dongle, and you got a new dongle version, so you can open LISA, and with this new dongle you can also open LISA 7. Also, the projects are independently from LISA version. As always, you can work with LISA projects from LISA 6, also imported to LISA 8, from LISA 8 to LISA 7. In some cases, if you add new features like the bike lanes, you would get they will not depict in LISA 7. But a project, from the project perspective, it's independent which LISA you use.
Thanks a lot for joining us today. And as always, we are at your service if you have further questions. Please contact us at service@schlotauer.de if you have any technical questions, or if you want a quote, an offer, have any sales-related questions, then please contact us at lisa@schlotauer.de. Thanks and have a nice day.